Hey everyone, welcome back to Lens on Trains. My name is Andrei and this is episode 7 in the series where I'm building my very first HO scale diorama. In today's episode, we're diving into terrain work, especially carving out the lake, shaping the riverbed, and laying the groundwork for a future rail bridge and tunnel. I started by outlining the shape of the lake directly onto the polystyrene board. I kept the pencil lines soft and adjustable, letting the terrain guide me as I worked. Once I had the basic outline, I began carving into the foam using a craft knife, making shallow cuts and gradually dipping them. The goal here was to build the shape gradually. Cutting too deep too fast could damage the foam or make the contours too harsh. The lake has an irregular shoreline, and in the center I've left a small raised area that will become a tiny island. You will see that later during the video. I took it little by little, carefully checking how deep I was going just to make sure the shape was evolving how I imagined it. I tried to visualize how water would naturally flow into this lake, where it could collect, where the shallow and deeper parts should be, and how the river would stretch from one edge of the lake gently, snaking along the future railway. Once the basic shape was there, I switched over to using a handle drill equipped with grinding and finishing heads. This helped refine the contours and make progress faster, especially in deeper sections of the lake and along the canyon. Of course, this also created a considerable amount of foam and debris, so I worked in short intervals and used the vacuum cleaner regularly to manage the mess and keep the workspace clear. Keeping the surface clean during this stage also helped me better evaluate the form and adjust where needed. From one side of the lake, I started carving a narrow canyon. This will be the start of a small river that will run along the future track layout. Its direction and depth were carefully planned to visualize, complement the rail line. The result was a smooth but natural looking lake basin, a defined river canyon, and a good base for the upcoming scenic details like rocks, shoreline textures, and the structural placement of a bridge. With the carving finished, I prepared a mix of paper powder and water to create a lightweight modeling paste, and this was applied directly into the lake bed, the island, and the river channel. This paste does two important things. It seals the foam, preventing unwanted absorption when I pour the epoxy water later on. It also adds subtle surface texture that mimics earth and sediments. After drying overnight, the paste had formed some small natural cracks, nothing structural but visually interesting. I decided to leave them since they'll be blended in with stone, sand, and other details before pouring the resin. Before moving on, I did a full cleanup, removing any loose bits of paste or foam, lightly sanding a few edges, and making sure every section was ready for surface treatment. Everything is now prepared for the next phase, painting the terrain, adding texture elements like gravel, fine turf, and vegetation, and preparing the base for the future resin pour that will represent the water. I'll also be testing how the lighting reflects in water zones under the bridge area to ensure visual depth. That wraps up this episode of Lens on Trains. I'm really happy with how the landscape is coming together, and I'm looking forward to bringing more detail into it in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and feel free to share your own tips or questions in the comments, especially if you worked with epoxy or terrain carving before. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in episode 8.